Hi, Salem-Keizer. My name's Andrea Castañeda, and I'm the Superintendent of Salem-Keizer Public Schools. And I want to take a minute to talk with you, one, about how excited I am about the start of the school year. It's going to be amazing. But I also want to take this opportunity to start a conversation that will last for the whole year. And that's a conversation about our 2024-2025 school year budget. I am, by nature, a leader that is very honest. I communicate early, and I communicate as accurately as possible about what's going on. That's true when things are easy, but it is especially true when things are challenging. And I do think we're going to have a challenge that we will rise to as a community for the 2024-2025 budget. So here's what I know. The truth that I can see in that upcoming budget. First, we are going to have a significant gap. And we knew this ahead of time. This isn't a surprise. But the fact that it's not a surprise doesn't mean that it isn't important right now to continue our planning. So that's what we're going to do this year. We'll be in conversation all year about the budget and what we're going to do next as a community. We're going to talk about this in ways that are inclusive, we're going to be transparent, and we're going to have some rounds of engagement to make sure that everybody has a chance to participate. This year is the year that we plan so that next year can be the best possible year. There are a few things that explain a little bit about how we ended up in this situation, and I'll share them briefly, and we'll have time to talk more about this later. The first is that we have fewer students than we did 3 years ago. In fact, we have 2,300 fewer students. But during that same time, we have continued to hire more staff. And during that time, our payroll has increased. What this means for Salem-Keizer is that we have costs that are now exceeding our revenue. And that means that we're responsible for making some adjustments, and we're going to make those together. There's no judgment here. Nobody did anything wrong. In fact, every decision we made was very student-centered, and the next ones will be too. The next ones will be about right-sizing and making sure that we are the strongest, most financially sustainable, and the most student-centered school district we can be for the future. All right, we have a plan, and I hope that you'll participate. The first and most important part of this plan is we're going to have a great opening. Our schools are ready, our hallways are clean, our students are eager to come back, and our staff are eager to have them. This year matters enormously because it's going to be a great year, and it's going to be a planning year. The second thing we're going to do is start community engagement this fall. And we're going to start by talking about our priorities. And the third thing we're going to do is commit to you that when we know more, when we know the size of the gap, when we know more about the nature of our challenge, we're going to share it just the way we are right now. The way that we respond to this moment is what's going to distinguish Salem-Keizer from the thousands of other districts that are going through this exact same dilemma. We're going to come together, we're going to talk, we're going to decide things together, and our next school year is going to be a great one too. And that's because we are Salem-Keizer Public Schools. So with school funding, one of the most important things to know is that we receive our funding more or less based on the number of students we serve. And we are proud to be the second largest, but also the most diverse school district in Oregon. We have about 40,000 students. And the state pays us based on those 40,000 students. This year, this coming school year, we're looking at about $550 million from the state. And with that $550 million, we're funding all sorts of things, and it really focuses on the key operations of our district. It's the funding for our classrooms, it's the funding that we use for most of our big expenses. And for this upcoming school year, we are fine. There is no problem with this upcoming school year. But we do need to take a hard look at the 2024-2025 school year, where there will be a sizable gap. We are overextended on this big and most important funding source. And that's okay. We're going to figure that out together. The second most important thing that I want to share today is that we, for the last few years, like districts all across the United States, have been using federal COVID relief money, and this is the last year that we'll have access to it. So for that same year, the 2024-2025 year, we're going to be dealing with two layers of issues. One is that we're spending more than we're bringing in state funding, and the second is that that federal COVID relief money is disappearing. As a school district, 87% of what we spend, 87 cents on every dollar, we spend on people, because people are our superpower. They're what make us spectacular. The teachers and the staff who are serving our students, who are feeding them lunches and driving them to school, they are what is extraordinary about us. And that's part of why it is so important that we come together as a community and spend this year having conversations about priorities and spend the whole year talking about what needs to be true for next year. Everybody has a place in this conversation. Everybody has a voice. And although we will have hard choices, we will also have good options. And I am looking forward to the time we'll spend together making next school year the best that it can be. So the 24-25 school year, not this year, but the next one, is going to have a significant budget shortfall. And we are taking all the time we can get to have a time to work together as a community, to understand it, to talk about priorities, and to plan for that year. This year is a gift to all of us. It's a planning year. So here's what it's going to look like. First, starting now, we're just focusing on the start of school. I can look out and see McKay High School, and I can't wait to see it full of staff and student parking, buses, and activity. Because the most important thing right now is not the 24-25 budget. It's the 23-24 school year. It's September 5th and 6th, when everybody is going to be back in our buildings. But then in the early fall, we'll start some community conversations. And those are not going to be about the budget specifically, but what they are going to be about is the priorities. What do we expect from Salem-Keizer Public Schools? What are our highest priorities as a community? Because those priorities are the building blocks, not just of a budget, but of a school district. In the fall or maybe the winter, I believe that our collective bargaining will be getting close to being done. And when that happens, we'll have even more clarity about what our budgets look like and what we need to be planning for together. Then if you think about the spring, that is going to be the period we'll have another round of community engagement. And in that period, we'll be starting to talk more about what matters most and looking at some trade-offs. Because while the gap is not something that should frighten us, it is something that should bring us together and look at those trade-offs together. That level of transparency and community matters. Then in the mid-spring, we'll be finalizing our budget, and we're going to do that in time for the 24-25 school year to be very smooth. We're going to do this together. We're going to do it intentionally. We are not going to rush. And we're going to do it so that we're protecting two things. We're protecting the sense of community that we have and that we build every day through transparency and honesty. And we're protecting the future of what we want our school system to be. We'll do this together because we are Salem-Keizer Public Schools.